welcome to Enlightened Tribe, and today we've got the first of our interviewees, Justin Martin from Riverdale Spiritual Centre. Welcome, Justin.
Hi, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying yes to being interviewed today. We thought it would be really good to speak to you about the actual community that has been going for a number of years at Riverdale, which is located near Gawler in Hillier.
Yep, that's right.
Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about this community that is pretty special.
Oh, thanks for giving me the opportunity to do so. It's very nice of you. So the Riverdale Spiritual Centre is, as you suggested, situated just outside of Gawler. We've been on the property since the late 70s. The property was purchased in 1979 by a group of young, hopeful individuals who were looking to create an intentional community where they could experiment with what the world might look like if we all agreed that we were pretty special and should treat each other as so. Its heyday, I believe in the early 80s, there was approximately 50 or 60 people, young families, more elderly folk, all living and operating on this property. And at that time, the property was actually operating as a caravan park as well. So it gave them a very unique opportunity to both work and live on a property for the community in a communal lifestyle approach to life.
And those residents, those people that were there right from the beginning, I believe that a few of them are still there living on the property.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so we've got, currently we have 5 permanent residents on the property. One of them, Colin in particular, he's lived on the property since 1979, so he's maintained that pulse all of this time. We've got several other people on the property who have been here for up to nearly 30 years, so not quite as long as Colin, but certainly a significant part of their lives. And then some other folk who've been here kind of around about a decade or just under. So there's definitely some depth of connection to the property with folk here.
Yeah, and very loved, I believe, as well. People really put their heart and soul into building, growing and developing the whole centre. And then a few years ago, they actually employed you, Justin, to come on board to change everything and make it really accessible to the wider community and beyond. I mean, we're taking this global, aren't we, with Enlightened Tribe? So maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and when you started at Riverdale and what your vision was and what your vision is for the future.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, as you say, approximately 3 years ago, I was working in the corporate environment in a sales management role. I came to the realization one day that I was really living a life of masks. You know, depending on who I was speaking to, I'd have to put on a different mask. And I got to the point where I started to question, well, who actually am I? Which one of these is the real me, if any?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And so I started to explore opportunities for myself to change my lifestyle, basically change my path. And part of that process was I was actually looking to open my own business. And really the intention behind opening my own business was not to make a lot of money, although that would have obviously been a nice bonus. But the intention of it was really to meet some interesting folk, meet some people who maybe were having the same questions that I was having and who might be able to share in that journey with me and hopefully maybe even enlighten me a little bit.
I like you.
Oh, thank you. So I like you too. So kind of as part of that process, I put together a business plan and realised that the idea I had was going to be a terrible one. And then I do have the responsibility of a young family. And whilst I would have met some interesting people, I think one of them was likely to have been my bank manager because it was a recipe for bankruptcy, my original idea. And so I started looking around for other employment opportunities and just out of nowhere, business manager, the Riverdale Spiritual Centre came up and I didn't know what a spiritual centre was. I'd never heard of Riverdale and I thought it would be worth exploring and finding out if maybe some of the things that I was seeking could have been offered to me through that role. And so nearly 3 years later, I'm still here. And to be honest, there was an aspect of something about the atmosphere and the weight of the spiritual intention that's been on this property for 40 years. You can't help but feel something. And the first time that I arrived on the property, inexplicably, I found it a very emotional experience. So I was pretty hooked after that and thought, I've got to make sure, I get this job, but also play a role in creating some future for this centre. The people who had been running it previous to myself had grandchildren born and they were being called to be with with their family. And being an organisation that was founded 40 years ago in the late 70s, it was an ageing population of interested parties, and they were realising that their energy levels were starting to be reduced, certainly not their passion, but their energies. And that's when they were seeking to employ someone who could come in with a fresh look on what the property could potentially offer the world, and with that energy and dedication to, as you've suggested, trying to make the world a little bit of a nicer place for everyone.
Yes, yeah. And may I congratulate you on that collective success from the team of amazing people that you have there at Riverdale, who have always been really supportive and are supportive of the community and businesses as well. And so I've been there myself a number of times now, and you run lots of different events. You run Twilight Delight in the Dell, so you've got a beautiful open forest. It's like an open forest is what I describe it as, in nature, and it's like a natural amphitheatre in there. So you can have all of these outdoor events, and then you've got your log cabin sanctuary that was built for meditation and yoga. And so you do a lot for the local community, don't you, Justin? Perhaps if you can just let us know what you actually offer and how Riverdale Spiritual Centre makes a difference.
Sure. One of the resounding things that people comment to me, particularly when we do events like the Enlighten Adelaide event, and I get that opportunity to meet the public, so to speak, because more often than not, I'm sitting behind this computer screen looking at accounting figures and spreadsheets. So when I do get the opportunity to meet people, a resounding thing has been that down south there seems to be a lot of activity and a lot of community around the spiritual path, and there's a lot of offering down there. But up north, there's a little bit of a drought up this way. And so I think that what we're being able to offer is an opportunity for people who live this side of the city to explore a whole range of different modalities and spiritual paths, but all centred at Riverdale. So I guess my vision for Riverdale is that it would be regarded as a spiritual hub for South Australia, ideally, and beyond, of course, and that we can create a community of people around Riverdale who may or may not live on the property, but at least consider Riverdale as their place that they can go that's safe to explore themselves, that's safe to explore alternative ways of thinking that maybe would challenge their status quos, and also maybe to meet people who share similar views so that they can feel some family around that as well. And so we specifically put on as broad a range of programs as we can, because we have the belief that each individual's path is going to be unique to themselves, and it's only the individual who is the authority on their spiritual path, is my belief. And so by offering a broad section of offerings, everything from shamanism events to meditation groups. We have a whole bunch of healing modalities on offer. We've actually got a resident program which is known as the Attunement Program, which is a non-touch healing modality that we're slowly just trying to get reinvigorated with some monthly opportunities for people. If they've been curious but never actually had the experience, they can just drop in, see if they enjoy the experience. So we're trying to engage with the broader community as much as we can by offering as broad a palette as we can, and not having a spiritual hierarchy, so to speak, and really allowing individuals to come, try for themselves and find out what it is that speaks to them. And I guess beyond that, we try to put on some larger scale events on the property. As you mentioned earlier, we put on the event that we called Twilight Delight. It was the Twilight Market, but the council didn't want us to run a market, so Twilight Delight it is.
I remembered that. I specifically said Twilight Delight.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We are in a process with the council now, so I think I can be more open about what we've been trying to achieve. However, there's been a very great reception when we've put on events. We've opened up the centre to the general public, and we've had, I believe, around about 1,000 people attended our first event and then a second subsequent event. And the idea is really just to create a community so that people maybe will come along because they're interested in one specific aspect of what we offer, but that over time they might grow their connections with other folk who maybe have similar or different interests, and that we can create a community of people who are looking to improve their lives, but also the lives of people around them.
Yeah, I love the fact that you can actually come on your own. I came to the Twilight Delight on my own and connected with people that I had never met before and people that I did know, and it was just It was a delight.
Sure.
And everything that you do there is really the same philosophy as the Enlighten Adelaide Festival and this Enlighten Tribe community making a difference. And the other thing with Riverdale is that if people just want to go somewhere totally that feels remote and just get away from everything, they can book and stay in accommodation in a cabin there, can't they, on site? And they can just keep to themselves if they want, or they can come along to one of the yoga classes. I think your yoga class or your meditation class is $8. You've got a Sunday service that you do for free.
Yep.
And
We do actually do quite a lot of free events, and yeah, absolutely. We're a not-for-profit organisation. We don't have stakeholders, so to speak. We don't have anyone who's collecting dividends at the end of the financial year. So our sole purpose is around community. Our sole purpose is around spiritual rejuvenation of humanity, and really it's just an opportunity for me personally to be able to actually make my life work about expressing love into the world. And that's the real motivation for us to be here, and it's the real motivation we hope for everyone who comes through our centre. And yeah, absolutely, we've got accommodation offerings. We do have some regular folk who will just come for a meditation class, for example, on a Wednesday morning, and then they actually stay that night so that they can just really absorb the atmosphere and then go back home on the Thursday, probably to the screaming children. And so it's a little bit of respite for the week or for the month.
Absolutely. No, I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and I'm really, really grateful that we connected all those years ago, 3 years ago, when you started, and you had this vision to build and grow with everybody, and you have done. So it's perfect to interview you as our first person through Enlighten Tribe. So yeah, the closing message from your website was Riverdale is a community with different views, but a shared vision for spiritual fulfillment, which I really would like to end with that. And also to let people know that you will be at the Enlighten Adelaide Festival on the 18th and 19th of May here in Adelaide. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And if anybody is looking for a retreat venue or a workshop space or anything like that, they can give you a call at Riverdale, and they can come and check it out and view it as well. So
sure.
whereabouts are you? What's your address up there?
So the address is 51 Clifford Road, Hillier, South Australia, 5116. But to be honest, if you Google, if you've got a phone or a computer, which I think even most children do these days, absolutely just give us a connection through Facebook or via our website, and we'll be more than happy to assist with any inquiries. And then even if you just want to come by for morning tea and meet some nice people and get a sense of the place for yourself, we have a free morning tea every day from Tuesday to Sunday, and come along. We'd love to see you.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Sue. Much appreciated.
Cheers. Thanks. See you soon.
Cheerio.